Hi, I'm Eric Goldschmidt. As a glass artist and demonstration supervisor for the Corning Museum of Glass, it's important I continue to stay informed about the history, craft, art, and science of glass. This thirst for information has transformed me into a bit of a glass pilgrim. There's just no better way to learn than going directly to the source. In the spring of 2014, this quest brought me to the celebrated glass center of Murano, Italy, a small island just off the coast of Venice with a history of glassmaking that dates all the way back to the 13th century. I'd like to share some of this experience with you.
My friend and mentor Cesare Toffolo led me to a distant corner of Murano to visit flameworking artist Dario Frare. Born in 1977, Dario was exposed to glass by his father Giuliano, a furnace glass factory worker who had also developed some flameworking skills. After Dario had spent a few years at the School of Art in Venice, Giuliano set up a small flameworking table for him at home. Dario left school at that point to pursue a career in glassmaking. When he first began working glass, Dario was learning to make many of the standard pieces of the Muranese flameworkers, candies and small basic sculptures. As he has grown, he has learned to find inspiration all around him. Some of his influences come from books and movies, as evidenced by his African warrior figures or Native American figures. He can also find inspiration in the bottom of his fishing net. Dario was nice enough to demonstrate the creation of one of these seaborne inspirations for us as he made a squid. The process begins before Dario even starts to heat his blowpipe. His assistants, his father Giuliano and mother Mara, are preparing large gathers of glass from the smaller rods they have been heating. When the pipe is just the right temperature, the first gather of clear glass is applied to the end of the pipe. While the gathering method is quite a bit different from furnace-style glass blowing, the shaping of the gather and beginning of the blowing process are quite similar. Dario shapes the glass into a cylinder, and when the shape and temperature of the glass are just right, he begins an air bubble inside of the glass by blowing a small puff of air in the end of the pipe. Once the starter bubble is prepared, a second gather of clear glass is added to increase the mass to the proper size for the squid. While the application of more clear glass may seem haphazard, Dario is quite adept at applying the additional glass to create an even coating over the initial gather. As the clear glass bubble reaches the proper shape and temperature, Dario adds a layer of white glass to create the opaque base he's looking for. Again, he keeps the layer of white glass very even around the clear, such that it will all be colored uniformly and it will blow out uniformly as well. He then applies a layer of pinkish powdered colored glass over the white. If you look just to Dario's left, you will notice that he has already prepared some darker powdered glass into the pattern he needs for the front of the squid's body. Then he can simply roll the hot bubble across the prepared powder to apply the pattern. For a little more sparkle on the surface, he rolls the bubble over a couple sheets of gold leaf. However, if the gold leaf gets too hot, it will burn up. So we must be very precise with the temperature of the bubble. If the flame hits the gold leaf, this will cause it to burn up as well. So he'll quickly apply a gather of clear glass over the top of the leaf. Notice how he applies the clear much more like a typical furnace-style overlay. With this technique, he is far less likely to overheat the gold leaf. So at this point, the color application is complete, and he can begin to sculpt his finished form. A little bit of marvering to get the material the right shape and temperature. He'll start to inflate a little bit more. The shaping happens very quickly as the temperature and viscosity of the glass are crucial. He's set a neckline in where the bubble meets the blowpipe using his diamond shears, such that he will be able to remove the finished piece cleanly from the pipe. So Dario stretches the bubble to the proper length and width, and then he is ready to flatten out the shape a bit. You may notice that he keeps the end of the pipe capped with his thumb as he does this bit of shaping. This keeps the bubble from completely collapsing on itself as he does that shaping. He'll add a small bit of clear glass as a pad to attach a punty later in the process. He quickly adds more details around the edges of the form with clear glass and then a highlight of white glass. A little bit of crimping to fine-tune the edges. It's a constant balance between applying enough heat to keep the glass safe, keep it from cracking, but not get it so hot that it starts moving in the wrong areas where he already has his shape set. Adding a little bit of detail to the edges of the form. And now it's time to attach a punty and remove the piece from the blowpipe so the open end of the form can be shaped. You'll notice the teamwork involved here as well. So I'll soften up that opening, get it just soft enough that he can start to shape it. And once the opening is properly shaped and sized, the piece is placed into the annealer for proper cooling. You can check the sizing. And off it goes to the annealer. The bubble preparation and color application for the head and tentacles of the squid are almost exactly the same as the preparation for the upper body. The only difference is that the pattern does not need to be quite as precise for this section. This bit of shaping happens very quickly as well. Again, having the proper temperature and viscosity is crucial to get the proper level of sculptural detail into the piece. You'll notice how he has the entire mass moving as he's adding the details. If he's too slow, the glass won't stretch properly where he needs it to move. Using a piece of steel piping to set details for the eye sockets. And now to create the tentacles, he can use his shears and simply cut in divisions in between each tentacle. Once the tentacles are stretched to the right length and width, this section of the body heads for the annealer as well. The two parts are then assembled cold with a high-quality adhesive. Trying to assemble the parts while they are hot is too much of a risk of either a poor connection or melting out some of the sculptural detail. As he finished with the squid, Dario was nice enough to show us a variety of the different objects in which he specializes.